Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We bring you stories of faith, love, and devotion. Yeah, just kidding, please help us grow by hitting that like button. Now on to the story. 35F, my husband, 37M, said something weird to my sister, 32F. My husband and I have been married for 2 years now and things are not perfect. We're both type A personalities with six-figure jobs and very big egos. We both really like to win, and when we disagree it can be very difficult to resolve. We are trying to be better and we do love each other deeply. Neither one of us wants a divorce and we want things to work. We get each other like nobody else does. My husband and sister are very close. When she found out we were getting married, she was overjoyed. They text each other frequently and are always very happy to see each other. We recently took a family trip to a beach house. My siblings were there, their spouses, my parents, my nieces and nephews, and me and my husband. I was tired, so after dinner I decided to lay down. I woke up, it was late, and my husband wasn't in bed. I walked out of the room and saw my sister and husband on the couch. She had her feet in his lap, and they were talking softly. I know I shouldn't have, but I hung back to see if I could hear anything. My sister asked a question that I couldn't really hear but seemed to be struggling to phrase. My husband said, "Yes. The answer is yes. And yes, the answer is no." She replied, "I know." I went back to our room at that point and I've been reeling ever since. I'm worried about what they were saying, but I'm scared to say I was eavesdropping. I never saw them that close before, and it seemed like crossing a line. Do I tell him not to talk to her anymore? Do I ask her what was said? I feel like no matter what I do I look crazy. TLDR found my husband quasi-cuddling with my sister and overheard a very cryptic exchange. No idea what to do now. Edit, what not scat, though it seems an awful lot like scat. I get so triggered by the whole feet in lap thing because that's how I found out my ex was cheating on me. I randomly came across a picture of him and his friends posted online where he and his girlfriend were in this position. It made my stomach sink, and when confronted, he admitted everything. Trust your gut. Same thing happened with a former roommate of mine. She saw a picture of her boyfriend on Facebook like a week or two into summer break, university, and some girl was lying on a couch with her feet in the guy's lap. Roommate got suspicious, asked about it, and he came clean. It's definitely weird. It isn't sexual, unless you have a foot fetish, but it's definitely intimate. Yes, that is far too intimate for anything innocent. The feet in the lap show a high level of complicity. So if it happens with a random girl, it is very suspicious. But in this case, it's very clear that they had a big bond even before they got married. It doesn't mean the same in this particular case. She needs to have a heart-to-heart talk with him. And to find out. But I wouldn't assume he has been cheating. Emo, they were talking in the living room in a house full of family, so they weren't exactly trying to be discreet. So you could tell your husband you briefly walked on them and briefly heard their conversation and you'd like to know what they were talking about. I wouldn't hesitate to mention I didn't like the feet in the lap thing. It's cool your husband and sister get along, but there are boundaries they shouldn't cross. Yeah, that seemed odd to me. Like they danced together at weddings and everything, but this was just not what I was expecting. Hope you aren't crazy. I'm sure people who are doing the wrong thing will make you feel like you are crazy. To be honest, it is best to confront them both at the same time. If you go to one person first, they may reach the other. If you get them both at the same time, you can get a good look at both of their faces at the same time. Their faces will tell you all you need to know. Do I think about you romantically? Yes. Can we act on it? No. I'm sorry, but this would be the first place I went in my head. Mine too. Frown. Update, 35F, my husband, 37M, said something weird to my sister, 32F. Original post. It's been about a week since I posted. I walked in on my husband and sister in a very intimate position whispering to each other, and I heard half of a conversation. My husband said the answer was yes and the answer was no. Family dynamics. I have 3 siblings, Mark, 38M, Lucy, 34F, and Ashley, 32F. Mark is married with 2 daughters and a son, Lucy is married with 1 son, I am married with no children, and Ashley is single with no children. In terms of relationships, I am closest to Mark and Ashley is closest to Lucy. I talked to Mark about what I'd seen and he got very angry. He told me that I needed to say something to my husband, Derek, or he would. I decided to take a chance and called up Lucy. I explained what I had seen, and she was very quiet. She told me she knew what was going on, and it's not what I think, but that I should talk to Derek and Ashley. When Derek got home from work, I told him we needed to talk and told him I had overheard them talking the other night. He nodded but didn't say anything. I told him that I needed him to be honest about the relationship between him and Ashley. Ashley and Derek both suffer from depression. There are days I come home and find Derek laying expressionless on the couch. This was odd to me at first, and I tried to motivate him but realized that when he has a bad day like that, I just need to accept that he's not going to get off the couch or do anything until it's time to go to bed. I will put a blanket on him, make him tea, sit with him, and put something light-hearted on the TV, and he's usually better the next day. Ashley is constantly overwhelmed, feels like she's letting everyone down, and has very bad depression spells. The first Christmas I was seeing Derek, she had one, and she was on the verge of tears all morning. Her mood improved towards the middle of the day, and that's when she and Derek became good friends. She later on told me that Derek talked her through things and helped her to feel strong enough to get through the day. It was actually one of the things that made me fall in love with him, that he looked after my family and stepped up to help Ashley. Derek explained that they had become close over the years and had really been able to lean on each other when depression struck. After I went to lay down, they hung out with Mark, Lucy, and their spouses having a few drinks together. When everyone decided to head to bed, Ashley could not find one of her AirPods. So she and Derek were crawling around on the kitchen floor looking under the cabinets, appliances, and the table and chairs to find it. They were both drunk, in close quarters, and got very giggly. They eventually found it and sat down on the couch to talk. He claims she put her feet in his lap to be playful and they both started laughing. He admitted that he had talked to her about the fact we hadn't been intimate in 6 months and how he felt like I shut him out when he needed affection. She talked about how he was the only person that she ever felt safe and conformable with in her life. She never got the question out, because he anticipated it. He said she said something along the lines of, "When we're together. Do you? Is there a feeling? How do you feel?" Which is when he told her the answer was yes, and then told her that the answer was no before she could say anything else. He told her that he loved me and wanted to work through our issues. He said that he would always love her, but it would always be as a sibling. He said that they spoke the next day when they were sober and agreed that they needed to set boundaries and not let themselves get that close with each other. He showed me his phone and that he and Ashley hadn't texted since that day. He told me that he only wanted to be her friend, but recognizes that they were both very near lines that should not and could not be crossed and they needed to cool off and redefine their friendship. He swears that's all that happened. I want to believe him because the portion I overheard lines up with what he told me happened, and I did not tell him what I overheard. I called Lucy back, and she confirmed that this is what she heard from Ashley. When I spoke to Ashley, she cried a lot and kept apologizing. She said she knows she crossed a line and swears on her life she would never try to take my husband from me. She promised that she wouldn't ever cross that line again and told me she loves me about 1,000,000 times. I don't really know what to do now. Derek and I are talking about our intimacy issues in addition to everything else and trying to be more open about our feelings. We're going to be bringing this up in therapy and trying to figure out a way to deal with things. This really was a bombshell, and while not as bad as I thought it could be, I'm really not happy with how it turned out. TL, Dr. Husband and sister were verging on an emotional affair. They ended things the night I caught them talking without realizing I had overheard. Now trying to process and deal with everything. Your husband's been talking about how you two don't have sex, to your sister, and she's tried to have a conversation establishing their feelings for each other and what they were gonna do about it. To which he confirmed there are feelings. Don't think that your sister's problem was asking the question. Wonder what she was thinking as she was trying to pose that question as she's putting her legs on your husband. Trying to get closer to him. Jesus Christ, woman, get her out, she's already crossed a bunch of lines. I agree, it's absolutely unforgivable. As a sister and Sil, it genuinely makes me sick. I could never conceive of doing this even if I was in love with that person. That's your big sister and you're about to blow up her life, then you turn on the waterworks when you get found out saying you'd never do such a thing. Get a grip, woman. North Carolina is what she deserves for this. She said she would never try to take my husband from me. Yeah, but she kinda did though. He was complaining to her about the lack of intimacy and she tried to use it as her in. She needs to be distanced from you and your husband until she gets herself sorted. She more than kinda did. If he hadn't stopped, honestly pathetically late, no doubt she would have given zero shits about her sister and continued. I know, right? Yes, the answer is yes. But also no. Like, WTF, dude. Sounds like he was admitting to feelings and then said no as a but we shouldn't because it's not a good idea. GTFO here with that crap. What a load of crap. He has an emotional affair with his wife's sister, then essentially tells her he has feelings for her and tries to come off as the good guy for wanting to work through his marital issues. Like, maybe I'd cut him some slack if he'd been the one to bring it up first. But would he have said anything at all if Op hadn't overheard their little do you, like me convo? Yay. And I don't think Op mentioned that he had brought up their apparent affair causing a level of intimacy issues yet. Now did he respect his wife enough to let her know that the inappropriate behavior even happened? I think if Op didn't bring it up it'd be a couple months before their marital issues were still there and they slipped back into the affair. So Derek told his Sil, who clearly has a thing for him, about the dead bedroom. Interesting thing to share. Can you share with us why there is no intimacy? Not condoning Derek's actions, which are pretty shady, not to mention Ashley's, but if a man isn't getting sex at home, eventually something's gotta give. We both work late and we're exhausted when we get into bed. I shower at night, he showers in the morning. One of us always feels gross at any given time. I honestly hadn't realized that it had been 6 months. I guess he was more aware than I was. It is an issue and one that I want to fix. Especially because it's affecting him so deeply. You didn't realize it's been 6 months? How do you not realize you haven't been intimate with your husband for 180 days? Did you approach him for sex during this time and he rejected? Did he approach you and you rejected? Did none of you approach the other? Is there some other reason for not being intimate? Do you have a small child? This sounds like the elephant in the room here. What's going on, Op? We're busy with work. He's initiated a few times and I've declined. I've been on my period, or too tired, or I just showered, or I feel sweaty and gross. We have no children. Our schedules don't lend themselves to it at the moment and it's easy to slip my mind. I'm going to be more aware going forward. We went through a patch relatively recently where we had sex twice in 120 days. And as OHL, with piss poor communication skills, I did not handle it well. I'm saying this to say that for some individuals lack of sexual intimacy and the closeness with our partner that brings can really impact us emotionally. Result can be all look like depression. This is an elephant in the room. I was surprised by Op's forthrightness and now I see he is taking advantage of the situation to talk about what he has been unable to address to date, whether through his own poor communication or Op not hearing him. Op now has an opportunity to learn more about the emotional needs of her spouse. If Op continues to focus on her disappointment, she will have missed the forest for the trees. Husband and sister are having an emotional affair. Your husband has cheated. Don't kid yourself. He cheated with your sister. The shared depression just gave them common ground. It's now up to you if you can trust him again. Don't let either of them use depression as an excuse for cheating. They knew what they were doing and did not stop until you saw them. Good luck with therapy and forgiveness. I wish you all the best no matter what path you choose. Just don't fall for any excuses. If your husband can't own up to his mistakes, feelings etc. and take full ownership without blaming your marriage issues, then your marriage is on rocky ground. I hope he can if you want to stay with him. We hope that by sharing these stories with interested folks like you, we can help people recognize the signs of a relationship in trouble, and avoid so many of these heartbreaking situations yourselves. Have a good day or night, wherever you are.